RBI Baseball 20. We're on Xbox One X, and it is not enhanced. So here in the menu, you can quickly see the different modes available. We've got Exhibition, we've got Homerun Derby, there's online multiplayer, there's postseason, and there's new franchise among management options for the game, but we're going to jump right into the action. So here we go, we're jumping into a match. First up, the biggest change that you're going to see, aside from the improvements to the presentation and the textures and the look of all of the different players in the game, is the fact that we have a brand new kind of control scheme when it comes to playing. So there's a new batting and a new pitching mechanic. So right now I'm playing with the classic batting option, just because I'm usually a little bit more comfortable with it, and I prefer it over the new one. But we're going to switch and show that off here. So we're able to quickly go into options, and you get to adjust this in the beginning. It kind of does a tutorial to teach you things. It's medium difficulty. It can be rather difficult. I do suggest playing on easy in this one, just because the AI can be quite intense. So you get like a modern plus aim, and then you can have like a modern. So with the modern, we've got a bit of a power bar, and that you got to charge up in order to hit things. So it is basically just more of, I guess, a set, streamlined way of playing and batting within the game. So if you play like the show, you just kind of feel like that. And I would like to note that this is an arcade baseball game. It's not going to be like the show, because this is supposed to be a more accessible, easygoing type of baseball experience. They're not trying to be like that. They're trying to emulate the original style that RBI was in the past, and that's kind of what they're going for with this one. And there are, generally a lot of improvements and upgrades with this release, just like last year. They did a lot of work in regards to upgrading the package, the visuals, the style of the game, and I think that's looking really good here as they do another upgrade in regards to just the overall package. And we're going to dig into all the different modes and everything a little bit more here, but I'm going to switch back to the classic style of batting, but I just wanted to show that off, and we will see the new version of pitching very soon. Great, so in the game right now we're playing the play now mode. Ooh, safe, nice. The play now, so that's just quick play. You can do 2 players local, and you can do 2 players online, and I say that in regards to basically you can play against a player of a similar ranking in competitive multiplayer, or you can just challenge a friend online if you want to. And keep in mind that this will change depending on the console you're on, what features you have available to you. Oh, another neat element that I really want to highlight is the fact that you can see a lot of info on the screen after you do bat or you pitch. You get a lot of kind of feedback and info, which is really helpful. So we're switching sides. This is the new pitching. We're going to talk about more of the modes in a sec here. We're just hitting this one at a time. So the new pitching wheel, we get to pick what we want to do: curveball, changeup, slider. So we'll do a 4-ball fastball. Then we get this wheel here, the circle, where we kind of get to aim, and then we can hold down the ball throwing option, and you can see it adds more power to my throw, and then you kind of see the delivery of it to the character. So as your pitcher gets more tired, the aiming wheel is going to get more and more all over the place, and it's going to be a lot harder to kind of pitch accurately, and that's an interesting element of play. So another neat aspect to the game on the outfield is you can now actually jump for the ball as a dive, as to say, if you want to go and get it and do that. And I think that's a nice little touch just for authenticity. And yeah, great. So aside from play now, we talked about the multiplayer. There's Homerun Derby, so that's like a tiered challenge where you're just trying to get home runs. We also have, we're going to do the dive here, which never works out for me. We also have the franchise mode. You can do 10 seasons of that, free agents, trading players. It's got some decent depth to it. I do wish they would push a little bit further with that mode. Maybe do some custom players or something like that would be really cool. Again, it's not the show, so they're not necessarily trying to provide that, but it would be something cool to see. And generally, I do think that this is a really good improvement over last year's, and that was a good improvement. Like last year's was a massive improvement over the one before that, and they have been progressively getting better. And I think right now we've actually got a really solid kind of classic arcade action baseball game going on here. There's also the postseason play, if I didn't mention that, so you just kind of jump right into the postseason. But that's as far as it goes for modes. I also want to quickly highlight here while you're seeing it, we do have 3D crowds for the first time. That's been one of my big issues with the game that in the background for years, is presentation-wise, has been, the crowds, and it's great to finally get 3D crowds. I mean, they don't look great visually. I mean, pretty low textures, but the fact that we do have crowds in the background, to me, is a big deal because, it's just one little element of the game, especially for modern sports titles, that I find to be important is the atmosphere. And they were just like flat cutouts, and then they became, stick figures, and yeah, generally just they've done a lot of polish to the game overall, and it does seem to run quite well. I do notice occasional kind of dips in the running, or well, not the running, but in the batting in regards to the game's running. So performance, it just seems to dip a little bit at times when you are batting. But I noticed that more in the Homerun Derby, and I haven't really noticed it much in the, just kind of play now or season play, regular matches. I haven't really noticed that, but I just thought I would mention it. So there's Legends in the game. There's 165 plus MLB Legends and Legends teams. If you haven't noticed, there are kind of elements that can get dirty in the game. You can get grass and dirt stains on the players, so that's just a level of kind of detail that's just nice to see included. Revamped hair, you can have like eye black, pine tar on helmets, stuff like that. Dives and slides kind of give you the stains that I was talking about. Got all the modes from before. There's improved cutscenes and animations within the game. You still kind of slide when you go to pitch and stuff. Well, I mean, not if you're like doing the new version, right? And it is good that they included the old version of how you would, bat and pitch for people that like it. I think that's a good idea that they included it. It seemed to play better with the new version. I was knocking it out of the park earlier today. That does not seem to be the case right now. Really, the squiggly little thing. And I think the, they capture the arenas quite well. Presentation-wise, it's just, it's a lot better. I think it's very clean. Looks really good. There's a nice, sort of vibrancy to the arenas. They capture the look of the sport quite well, which I think is important for these types of games. It's too far away, can't even hit it. They do have a soundtrack from over 20 different artists, so I've turned that off because, we don't want to deal with any copyright issues, but that is an aspect here. They've got pitch type. Oh, you can choose your pitch types, which we kind of talked about, and they've kind of streamlined base running controls a little bit too. So that's a nice touch. I really am a fan of the new pitching mechanics, though. It feels kind of old school, but also has a nice little extra flair and or update to it, just to make it a little bit different. So yeah, you can play it locally, you can play it online, and it is a refinement over the version that they released last year. I think they've done some pretty good upgrades overall, and I really do think that this is a fine version of, baseball at this point. RBI gets a lot of flack because it's not the show, and it really isn't trying to be the show. It's a different game. It has elements to make you feel like you're playing a modern arcade-style baseball game. That is the goal. I'm going to catch one of these things. Even if I lose entire matches, I'm going to get one of those diving catches going on. But yeah, it's kind of just like a clean, quick-cut interface. The characters, the models, much better, far more realistic. They're not just like weird cutouts now. The stands, those even look better. I think the presentation overall is just greatly improved, and I'm very happy with what they've provided in this release. I do actually think it's pretty good. I mean, others are going to have really high expectations, which is kind of ridiculous for what this is, but yeah. I don't know, I have a good time with it. I also like that you can do the pop-up menus. So that's like the left trigger, you can kind of show up and you can see what's going on there. I think that's a nice little touch too. And it's just like a really cleaned up interface. I also thought probably be a good idea to show the classic pitching options too, so you can see what that's like. So this is the old version. You kind of slide and then you throw the ball in and kind of move it around the edges a bit. It's I don't know, it's a neat option, and it's available if you're like an old-time player that really likes that style of RBI baseball. I mean, you've got it available. Really, nobody went for that. Huh. Yeah, that was not good. Oh, and you can still do the thingy where you keep throwing the ball back and forth. Yeah. Yep, you can keep doing this one. This is like a classic thing in the game that I've had fun with over the years. But I really do think that they've done some great improvements on the game. You know, upgrading it, changing things. Especially over the years from where it came, where the first version of this was... it was really bad. It was like those, like the first few years of RBI baseball were quite awful. And I think they've finally gotten a package that is compelling. Last year I also thought was pretty good, but I think this actually is a bit of a boost over last year's. It's definitely got some things I wasn't expecting. In terms of like substitute. No, I don't want to substitute this guy. Yeah, you can do that on the fly. Just kind of showing off the menu here, and you get the real player pictures and everything like that. Sure, we'll just throw this guy in. Why not? And then you get different options for what you're throwing. I think that's kind of neat. There's a lot of different throwing combinations within the game, I guess you could say. I don't know what you would really call them. You know, like curveballs and everything like that. Out, nice. Yeah, our batting is just not doing well this match. But I think at this point, it's kind of worth it to show off the Homerun Derby mode. We are not getting that. Yeah, let's show off the other mode here. So here's the Homerun Derby. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically just a fancy version of batting. You're just trying to get home runs. It's got like a neat presentation to it. Shows you where the, you know, kind of the home runs go. You can see the slowdown there kind of happening. And then you're just knocking it out of the park over and over again. You know, nice, easy kind of pitches. It's actually a really good area to kind of practice your batting, but you're not necessarily going to get what you're going to see in a full match, because people are going to be switching up what kind of pitches you're going to be feeling and seeing. So yeah, you just kind of do that, and then you get extra time bonuses when you do actually achieve home runs, and you're trying to get the most feet you can get. And it is like a ranked tally too, so you kind of see the tally go up, and you got to win like multiple matches in order to become the winner of the Homerun Derby. You also get to customize that if you'd like to, but only certain things will be counted on the leaderboards within the game. So overall, I think we got a pretty good package here. I would like them to maybe try some new modes in the future, assuming we get more releases of RBI. I mean, it's kind of become a staple of what I check out every year, so I kind of do look forward to playing it. A different style of baseball for sure. But I would like them to also expand the campaign, as to say the franchise mode, maybe lasting longer, extra features with it. Maybe create your own player would be really cool to see down the road. I would really like to have that at some point. Just some more level of customization, or even creating your own team. And I mean, this is MLB's official game in regards to them actually making this in-house. So I mean, I'm sure there's general rules for what their development can actually do, but they should be allowed to do whatever they want, because, you know, the MLB is running this, right? So that's the gist of what I'm getting at there. I wasn't paying attention. So good selection of modes. The online is fine. I don't really know what they could do more there. It'd be cool to get, I guess, online derby would be interesting. I just like them to try different kinds of extra modes, you know, something where maybe where you're doing like an actual career as a player, or you know, just more dynamics to what you're doing during the seasonal play. I know the card games are super popular. I wouldn't really care for seeing that integrated, but I know the show has that, and that's kind of a big thing where they do a lot of variants on it. And it's just like they've got the core mechanics and package down quite well. It's just about polishing it out further, improving visuals. I would love to see this game enhanced at some point on the 1X. I don't think they really, you know, do what they should in regards to visuals and pushing these console platforms. They just kind of release it. So I thought we'd add another little match here just to show off a little bit more of the gameplay so you can see more of the mechanics in action, everything like that. But yeah, it's just be generally improving and adding content at this point. They've got a really solid core package going on. That's quite fun to play, except I can't seem to bat anything. Of course, when I'm doing recording, that's the situation. And I mean, even they've got like little pockets where the sand comes up now, and just seeing the players be able to get a little bit dirty and interact with the world, it feels like they're actually a part of it and not people that are just floating around like slender. Like, what kind of ball throw is it that? And then the extra mechanics too, where you can see, you know, how you're doing with the batting, so you can kind of improve. Whereas I'm just not today. I would like a little bit more variation in the crowd too, I guess. Seems a little bit standard, but like even little details on the board, the background, the extra buildings are nice to see. And then again, we kind of got that over the last year, so it's not like a big change up, but I'm just saying, you know, seeing further amounts of detail are always nice because it just enhances the performance and look of the game. Like the player models, you have no idea if you haven't seen like the older ones, how they looked. Like they look like clay figures compared to how they look now. That was pretty bad. Yeah, that was weak. Easy catch for that guy. There we go. But I like even the swing animations look nice, and it's gonna be a double out. Nope. Yeah, but generally overall, biggest changes to remember: pitching, batting. Very interesting to see that 3D models in the crowd. I don't know why they wouldn't highlight that, but that's a big deal for me. Smaller tweaks, retooled environment aspects, improved visuals, neat change-ups to kind of make this a little bit more of a dynamic experience. But we'll just show off more of the match at this point, but I think I've covered everything that is included within the game at this point. You understand what it is. Streamlined baseball game, arcade action, not trying to be like an intense simulation, but kind of bridging a little bit more towards what that is, or at least what I think that is in comparison to something like, well, the only thing out there like the show, right? And of course taking the MLB official licensing and kind of working off that with updated rosters that are going to be available as the season doesn't progress, I guess you could say, because, you know, the virus and everything going around at this point. So I don't know how that will alter that aspect of play, but I thought I would mention it, you know, just because it's something to keep in mind.
Ground rule double. Strike. Oh, no. Safe. That's a foul ball. That's a strike. That's foul. He's out. Strike. He's safe. safe.